Okay, let's get into the modification of the project properties. You have a couple of ways that you can get into the project properties. It seems like one of the more popular ways is to hover over the title of the project, and whenever you right click on there, you go ahead and choose the properties at that choice, and that's going to bring you into a drawing called the project. If you look at that project symbol style, we're going to go ahead and X that out so that we can get it from another way. You can also go to the Project Manager drop-down. We are in the Home tab, Project Panel. Use that drop-down right there, and you will find Project Setup. And you will still get that same drawing that's going to come up there. All right, so if we look at the general settings up here, you'll see that you have several categories that you can go through. You have general settings, and you can go down to PNID drawing settings, Plant 3D drawing settings, all the way through isometrics and orthos. So everything that all the settings in the projects are stored within this one drawing file. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the things that you can expand this section, and you can see that you can get into the class definitions and pipe specs here. Plant 3D drawing is going to have some more options here. And then, of course, you have many options for customizing your isometrics as well as your orthos. But for right now, we're going to kind of concentrate on the general settings. We're going to close these up. And let's move up through here and talk about some of these settings, okay? Let's look at the project details. On your project details, it has your name. That's your project. We had just simply called this one sample project. You can add a description for it. If you look to the right, you can also, right now I have it checked to never, but you can have it prompt you for a work history. Whenever you open the project or whenever you close the project, you can add a work history, kind of let you know, give a status to a project, in progress, for review, etc. Enter notes about a project, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at some of the other things that you have on here. You have a database setup. This database setup you cannot change from here. If you did look at the section where we talked about setting the project up, that's where you're going to choose. This just allows you to see exactly what type of database that you are using. Okay, you can get some custom drawing properties here. So you can add in another category, and then you can whatever the property may be, property one. And then you can add a row to that. And then it's going to add those in. Okay, so you can have as many properties as you want. And if you want to take those out, then you just hit delete, and that'll get you back to where you were. Okay, so you can set your paths through here, just like we did whenever we set up the project. If you need to go back and edit that, you can edit any of the paths that you have. Uh, project details, this is where you can customize even a little further. I realize that's where we started talking about that, then we kind of ventured off. But a lot of times, if you have a custom property that you want to add here, uh, let's just say that you said supervisor. Okay, and then you can add a row. Let's just say phone value. So now that is going to be added into the property. You have this supervisor and his number. Okay, so now that's added into there. So you can do that with any of the custom properties that you want, that you can add those in. Now, tool palette group association, you have many different types of tool palettes. You can even build your own tool palettes. But here's where you choose it. If you're doing a PNID drawing, you can select from this drop down of which one of these that you want to come up when you do a PNID drawing. When you're working in a Plant 3D drawing, you can also choose which tool palette do you want to come up. When we talk about Data Manager, you're going to see that when you select a section in the Data Manager, which is basically like a spreadsheet, you will actually be able to zoom to the section of the drawing you're talking about. This sets the zoom factor for where you're going to zoom into. Here you'll enter a number between 0 and 1 in decimal format, and that's going to give you your zoom factor on there. Okay, you have reports in this section. You can customize these different reports by modifying them, or you can actually come up with a report of your own in this section here. Um, and then here's where you can go to do some plant content sharing if you're going to be working with the team, if you want to share this to your A360 drive, etc. Now, the last thing I want to talk about on this segment is naming your file format. Okay, now this can be very important whenever you're doing this. If you want to have a file naming format for all of your drawings. So all you have to do is hit add, and then you can start building this file naming format. So let's say that the first part of my name is going to be the area that it's taking place in, and all my areas are going to be named by number. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I need that by numeric, and I'll give it up to 3 digits for that. And the delimiter, I'll just put a dash in for that. Now I'm not finished with my drawing sheet. I do need to add some more in. So I'm going to put a discipline. I'll leave that as a string entry that I can put up to 10 characters in. And I will keep my dash as the delimiter. And I am going to want to put a pipeline number in there, or a number of the drawing sheet in this, for instance. And I'll let that be a numeric entry of up to 3 digits. Since we're at the end of the line, I do not need a delimiter here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and apply this and then say OK. So now whenever I add a drawing sheet, let's say I want to add a drawing sheet into area 1, and I say new drawing, I have the area, I can fill in the area, the discipline, and the drawing sheet number. Now, even though I have that set, if somebody needs to come in and name something differently, all you have to do is hit the override and then give it its own file name. It's as simple as that. So that's just a few things that we can do whenever we're going into the project setup, or that we are dealing with the properties of your project.